Hi, I'm Angela Turone,
And I am Chris Platt.
and we recently released our debut album, Sounds of Brazil, on June 19th, 2020. And today we're going to be answering some questions for Musical Notes Global about the album and about our experience. You want to start us off, Chris?
Yeah, so how did you two come together to create this project? So Angela and I started playing together in 2014, and we have been like we both loved Brazilian music, and that was pretty much the start of our friendship as well. We started to create the project after playing together for about 4 years, and in 2018 we sat down and we decided let's actually put this into action, because we'd been talking about doing an album pretty much the whole time we've been playing together, and we had enough repertoire, and we had the determination to take on this project. So yeah, it was in 2018, and yeah, as Angela said, we released it in June 19th. So it was about a 2-year project. Yeah. So you want to do the
That's
next
great.
one?
Yeah, I'll take the next one. So the question is, how do you think you complement each other as artists? Have you helped each other grow in any way? Um, so I think naturally, like just with the differences too of our instruments, I think it's a really nice compliment, to be a vocalist and to be a guitarist working together. It's really great overall that each time we work on an arrangement, that because we're working as a duo, that we have this sort of team atmosphere to our arrangements and just our musical process in general. So if I'm working on something, I can take it to Chris and we're able to sort of go back and forth with ideas. And I would say that's really the main benefit. And of course, I mean, in releasing an album, it's a wonderful thing to be doing it with a partner, because there's so much that goes into it, and the load of the inevitable kind of work that goes into this whole process has been really nice to kind of share that. Yeah, and I think for me, I think definitely Chris has helped me to grow musically. I mean, even just as Chris said, when we started working together, there were so many Brazilian artists and musicians that I hadn't heard of, that I wasn't listening to. And so Chris definitely has really sort of opened my eyes to artists that I have since fallen in love with, music I've fallen in love with. Some of the music on the album, when Chris and I started working together, I hadn't even heard of the composers or the lyricists. So definitely us working together has been a real opportunity for growth for me musically. And of course, harmonically too. I mean, like there's a lot that we talk about when we are arranging, and when we're working on new material. And Chris has taught me a lot. So definitely I feel that I've grown a lot. Chris, what about your experience?
Yeah, just to add on to that a little bit, thanks for all the nice words. uh, Obviously, same to you on all those fronts, especially in the growth department. I feel like that's something maybe I haven't thought about as directly, maybe lately, and I think it's kind of important. Like even in very very concrete ways of bringing arrangements to you, and just having your sensibility to go through arrangements, and like literally taking apart what's going on, and like always improving it. It's always a useful improvement. And even now when I'm working on something new, I there's always a little Angela voice in the back of my head that just just make sure you have everything covered, because you've helped me become more thorough for sure,
That's awesome.
and I appreciate that.
Awesome. Thanks. Yeah, I think definitely it's really nice to listen to the recording, and I really hear that the project is ours together. I mean, like no arrangement to me at least feels like it was purely one of us. I feel like each arrangement, although we definitely took the lead with certain songs, it feels like it really is a collaborative thing, and I really like it, because I hear both of our personalities and sensibilities and our own personal touches that really comes through the music, which is really cool.
Yeah, and I think we both take the suggestions well. As an artist, I feel like there's a lot of opportunity to be like, this is this is my, artistic creation, and how dare you adjust it in any way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always appreciated any little things. And yeah, it makes exactly right. It sort of made every song a little bit of both of us, which is great.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. What do you love most about Brazilian music? Why did you decide to dedicate your first project to it? Well, as I said in the beginning, that was sort of how Angela and I came together, was just a love of Brazilian music. What do I love most about Brazilian music? I think it's the guitar and the role that it plays in Brazilian music specifically, just because it seems to play, it's almost like an overarching instrument in that genre where you don't miss out on anything. You've got like the very interesting harmony, you've got, you can solo, you can accompany, and you've got the rhythmic aspect, which is ever so important in Brazilian music. So I just like, I love the guitar, and I love the role that it plays, and how almost central it is to the Brazilian music characteristic. And yeah, again, we decided to dedicate the whole project to Brazilian music because of just our collective appreciation for Brazilian music, and we've been playing it for years, and it was about time we made a record.
Yeah. It's such a good question. Like, what do I love most about the music? I think there's a lot of things I don't know if there's anything I really don't love about the music. I mean, Chris spoke about the guitar. I think definitely, as a vocalist, I really do. I love the way that it sounds. I mean, I love the language. Um, all the songs that we play that are by Brazilian composers and lyricists, I do sing them in Portuguese because I love the language. I love the way that it sounds. It's a beautiful language. And so for sure, that's a big aspect for me. But musically speaking, I really love the way all of the parts sort of interlock, rhythmically speaking, but also the way that the textures sort of complement each other. Like, there are definitely some instruments that you won't find in a jazz setting, right? Especially in the sort of percussion department. But the textures of all those things, I mean, I love it. We don't have any cavaquinho on this record, but what Chris said about the guitars, I love that there are often layers of maybe similar functioning instruments, even like, the piano and the guitar. But somehow each sort of takes its own role. And I really love that sort of overlapping and layering of different textures and different rhythmic patterns. It's really wonderful. And really, this is perhaps a little more vague, but the overall feel of the music, it just feels a certain way. It's a really special thing to me. And why did we decide to dedicate our first project to Brazilian music? Well, like Chris said, I mean, this is something that we've really been putting a lot of our time and energy into over the last several years. And it felt that our first project together, it just made sense for it to be Brazilian music. It's really the music we've been playing. So yeah, I think that answers that. So the next question is, what is it about Antonio Carlos Jobim's work that you admire most? I mean, Jobim he's wonderful. Definitely, he's written so much really wonderful repertoire. It's as simple as, for me, his songs. His songs are beautiful. I mean, the way the melodies move, the way that they work, the way the harmony works. It's really special and unique, and it is different. It is different in a lot of ways. Chris and I were both sort of like musically raised with a jazz background. We went to study jazz in school, and Brazilian music, although especially like bossa nova has its, similarities and relationships to jazz music, it does have its own sort of like often special things that you can't find in jazz or different than jazz. The way the harmony moves, I just find Jobim's work is he's like the pioneer of bossa nova. I mean, one of them for sure. And I just really love his melodies and his music.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think if I answer the question even further, I would just get into some nerdy musical details of talking about chromaticism and its relationship to the harmony. yeah, like what you were saying, how it's unique to our musical upbringing in like American jazz, in that uh, Jobim will be he'll be using a bit more like just outside that language, but also using that language at the same time. I don't know. Yeah, I love it. Okay. How did you choose the songs that you were going to include on the album? Well, we had many meetings
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
discussions on which songs we were going to include. I think some we knew absolutely for sure we wanted to include, and then in our pre-production with Jeff Young, he helped us explore some new repertoire that ended up being on the album. So it's almost pretty wild to think about how we had already been well into the planning stages of the album, and Jeff suggested new music for us to like that we'd never heard before. And then sure enough, the last song in the album was one that Jeff just sort of like, hey, what about this? And it caught our attention. So all the songs are songs that we love really closely, and were also songs that we were able to put our own spin on in terms of our arrangements and performance of it.
Yeah, definitely. Like I would say the majority of the music is music that we've been playing over the last several years, but it's really amazing how a lot of the pieces on the album have transformed over the years because, for example, like the title track Desafinado, I mean, I think that's one of the first pieces we started actually playing together. But if you look at, our arrangement from 2014, Chris and I began playing as a duo as well. So inevitably the fact that the album features, aside from Chris and I, six other really wonderful players, and six other instruments, inevitably the arrangements have changed and really developed over the years. So the bulk of the repertoire is music that, like I said, that we've been playing. But it's true, in our pre-production, we decided to kind of to choose some new pieces that were unfamiliar to us, and pieces that are not necessarily Brazilian music. So we have two songs on the album from the Great American Songbook, but as I said earlier, Chris and I have our roots in jazz music, and so we wanted to take a standard like Bewitched, and sort of put our own sort of spin on it to use all that we've learned and been informed of from Brazilian music, and almost apply that to music from the Great American Songbook. So that was kind of our goal with those pieces specifically. All right, is it my turn? Okay, wonderful. So the next question is, with it being your debut album, what does the album represent for you? Do you want to start that one, Chris?
Sure. I feel like the album represents a lot. And to start with, maybe the most basic or like the bedrock of what this album represents is it gets to capture where you and I are in musical time and development. I think that's such an interesting way to see something where it's just like, this is the last 2 years of our lives really, and all of our musical training leading up to it, and discussion and development of this music. I think it just represents like a time capsule for everything I knew, and this is like the best thing I could do at that moment in my musical life. And it's also it's nice to have this project out there in the world. I love that it actually came to fruition, and that it's just our best foot forward, and how and everyone gets to experience that, not just live anymore. Yeah, how about for you?
Honestly, I don't know if I have anything more to add. I think everything you said really resonated with me. Absolutely, it represents, where we are at musically, and definitely, it's a snapshot in time, and it represents sort of what we've been working on together for the past several years. So yeah, I agree. It's pretty cool that the music is out there now, and that we were able to document. I feel very, very fortunate to have been able to do this, because there's always many roadblocks, right, in a big project that could, yeah, that could hinder you. But we really, yeah, I'm proud of us. It's great. Okay, so I think it's your turn.
Yes. What do you hope people take away after listening? Well, a lot of things. I hope people, at the very least, just enjoy it.
Yeah.
I hope that because there's so much Portuguese on the album, that people come away from it with sort of a curiosity towards finding out more, or listening more to Brazilian Portuguese, because I feel that could be like the language barrier could definitely be a roadblock for a lot of people, like getting into the music. And I hope that it's because there is some English on the album as well, that it's a nice bridge for people into the genre. And I hope they also appreciate the authenticity we really tried to bake into the entire album, because that was really important to us, especially with our friendly percussionist Ilio Cunha, and how he helped us do that.
For sure. And our producer, Gord Sheard, right, who has so much experience with Brazilian music. Definitely.
Yeah, for sure. What do you hope people take away?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, I just hope people enjoy the album. I mean, I know that sounds very, very simply said, but I mean, definitely, I hope that people enjoy the music. I hope that by listening, that listeners can discover new artists that maybe they didn't know existed. I mean, to me as a musician, that is such an exciting thing. But I really think for anyone that appreciates music, it's really exciting to discover, a new band. You love their music, you start digging like, into their archives. Well, what have they recorded? What have they done? Because the album is not our original music, I really hope that we were able to pay respect to the really wonderful composers and lyricists that whose songs we recorded. I hope that we can draw attention and hopefully do them justice to really the beauty of the music that they've written. And I hope that perhaps listeners have just maybe a newfound love for Brazilian music and culture. I mean, it's such a rich and diverse place, Brazil. There's so much different music that comes out of there. And really what we've recorded is such a small piece of the music that is, in Brazil. But I hope that we were able to elevate it in some small, very small way, and do it justice. And for the pieces that are, the jazz standards that we included, I hope that listeners enjoy a new take on those songs. And I think that would be it.
Yeah, and I'm hoping people will appreciate our take on everything, because I think it is new sounding, especially I think this really hit home when we were in the studio and we were about to start mixing, and I remember the engineer Jeremy Darby asking, so what does this album sound like? What's a reference recording we can use? And however he intended it, Gord said, well, there's kind of nothing that sounds like this album. And it was maybe one of the biggest big pat on the back to
Definitely.
both of us at that point, to hear that we had created something that even Gord in his like vast library of Brazilian music knowledge, he was a little stumped at first. So it was nice.
For sure. And that's always the biggest challenge, I think, when you're recording another artist's music, is like, how do I pay respects to this artist and their work while also doing something new and interesting? I mean, that really was our goal, I think, is to present music that perhaps is familiar, that's written by these artists, and and yeah, to do something different or new sounding. So for sure, I think we both hope that listeners agree and enjoy the music is our main goal.
Yeah. Oh, well, this has been fun. Thank you to
Yeah.
Musical Notes Global for having us. And once again, my name is Chris Platt.
And I'm Angela Turone.
And you can find our album Sounds of Brazil streaming everywhere you can stream music. And feel free to find us on Bandcamp. And we're also selling physical CDs if you want to listen to the music that way. Hope you enjoy.
Thanks.